All right, ladies and gentlemen. You know what it is. This is the Right and Wrong podcast. And you know, we're gonna get into some stuff here today. So there has been some major right on right drama brewing within the media influencer neighborhood for some time now. But things kind of hit a tipping point at the end of about last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. And that is when Tucker Carlson sat down with the controversial Hitler admiring, possibly gay punk by the name of Nick Fuentes. For those of you not familiar with Fuentes, consider yourselves lucky. He is the leader of a group of keyboard warriors that spend a little too much time online and live in their parents' basements. They're known as the Groypers. Now, Nick Fuentes, I can't even say the guy's name. He carries himself as an intellectual thought leader of the right, and he believes that he has the ability to influence the MAGA movement. In reality, he has an audience that seems larger because he's tapped into the segment of the population that spends entirely too much time on the internet. His shtick plays to this crowd who cheer him on behind the safety of a screen name and a fake profile picture. But in reality, most people that click the like button on one of his videos would never be brazen enough to support what he says when they go outside and touch some grass. Now, Tucker Carlson, on the other hand, is a very mainstream and trusted voice in the conservative media world. When he got canned from Fox News, there were whispers that Ben Shapiro had reached out to try and bring Tucker to the Daily Wire. I was one who supported that. Now, those whispers never led to anything, and Tucker soon started his own media company, which it seems to be doing just fine for him. Now, around that same time, Tucker and Shapiro would occasionally take a jab at each other, which, led to the online world clamoring for a Shapiro v. Carlson debate. A debate that never happened. But Tucker would often insinuate that Shapiro was Israel first, while Shapiro would often accuse Tucker of admiring foreign leaders such as Vladimir Putin. The feud seemed to simmer down after the death of Charlie Kirk, where both men reportedly spoke to each other and presumably, planned to bury the hatchet in an attempt to unite all the factions of the right. Well, that certainly didn't last long. My man Ben spent his entire 40-minute episode completely destroying Fuentes and Carlson with facts and logic, as only he can. That was about a week ago. You can look it up and find that episode. He exposed Fuentes for the unhinged, vile, creepy weirdo that he is by simply playing the man's own videos. Shapiro also spent time pointing out the lack of backbone by Tucker throughout his interview with Nick for his failure to challenge the beady-eyed loser on any of his outlandish claims or any of his past comments. This clip I'm going to show to you guys right here is from the end of Shapiro's show, and it sums it up perfectly, the vibe of his whole show that day. Juice, you want to give it to us?
My answer is no. No to the Groypers. No to their publicists like Tucker Carlson. No to those who champion them. No to demoralization. No to bigotry and anti-meritocratic horse shit. No to anti-Americanism. No. This is our country. This is our party. And this is our conservative movement. And I will not stand by while it is handed over to those who betray the most fundamental principles I have spent my entire life defending and advocating. That is a path to defeat and a path to moral oblivion. I reject it because if we lose the right, we will lose to the left. And either way, we'll lose the country. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show.
Wow. Now, that was a pretty intense way to end the episode. I hope you guys take the time to go look that one up. Now, in an ideal world, those of us willing to vote Republican would spend our time picking apart the craziness on the left rather than picking each other apart. This is how I'd like to treat the many independents and blue dog Democrats that have finally said enough is enough when the left advocated for sexually mutilating children. But the point Shapiro has been making for a while now is one that I happen to agree with. If we cannot call out the actors on our own side that make us all look bad, then we're no better than the left. The Democratic Party is it's deader than disco right now because they've embraced the most radical, unhinged members of their movement without any pushback at all from those on their own side of the aisle. Now, members of the right are accusing Shapiro of engaging in cancel culture, and they're calling him a gatekeeper. I call this policing yourselves. If we don't do it, the other side will gladly take over and police us for ourselves. And it's not cancel culture to say that people should not listen to morons like Nick Fuentes. Shapiro has never called for the guy to be deplatformed. He simply says we should ignore the dude. It's not cancel culture to criticize someone like Tucker, who has credibility, for using that credibility to promote and help a man like Fuentes. If the right starts going in the Tucker Carlson direction of just asking questions here while talking about how much safer and cleaner and cheaper the state-run grocery stores are in Russia, then we'll be in trouble. If the right follows Tucker's opinion that the U.S. are the bad guys of World War II for dropping the atomic bomb that put an end to the war, then we'll be in trouble. And if Nick Fuentes and the Groypers movement ever take control of the Republican Party, then we'll be running right-wing candidates like this clown who just lost in Minnesota, Juice.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Somalia. Somalia. Hiran State. Mawisle. Mawisle. Early voting was hadda illa November 4. I need your vote. Wani de bahanahay. Wani de bahanahay. I need you. Hadan udkina hello. We're gonna win.
Insane. I'm glad that guy lost. Now, Juice, why don't you come on in? Thanks for helping me out there with the clips. That last one's just ridiculous, right? Waving a flag of another country, speaking a foreign language while you're asking for their vote in this country here. Absurd.
Yes. Yeah, I'm at a loss for words on that one.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. So the overall theme there, I know I kind of went on a little mini rant there for you and kept you waiting on the sidelines. Sorry about that. But the whole conversation that I thought was worth having is the cancel culture thing and the gatekeeping thing where, I get that Shapiro turns people off. Like he's been a prominent voice on the right now for going on, 15, 20 years. So I give him credibility for that alone. I know Tucker's been in the game for a long time too. So I'd like to give him credibility. I do give him credibility. I've always liked Tucker. My problem is that
I still do kind of like Tucker.
I do too, but what really stood out to me, I promise you, I thought this at the time. I'm not just saying it now in hindsight because I'm annoyed that he had that loser on his show. I went back and I watched the episode of Charlie Kirk on with Tucker. I shared it with you guys like the week after Charlie got shot. And the episode had happened a few months prior to that. So it's a recent episode. And I thought that Charlie spun circles around Tucker. I've always thought of Tucker as a smart guy. I'm always like, Tucker's like, he's an intellectual elite in my mind. I'm just some jackass, sitting here in a chair. So I've always given Tucker that, right? I think of him that way. I think obviously Shapiro's a smart guy. We like Knowles, the guy's an Ivy League educated person. Like right? Like a lot of these people in the movement are very smart, and I give them that credibility and kind of defer to them in a way. The whole point of the Right and Wrong show for me is like, listen, these people might be smart, they might be credentialed, but we're the regular person who's affected by a lot of this stuff. We're the average Joe out there, and I want to be able to communicate kind of the stuff that's going on from the elitists in a way, in translate it into something I can understand and wrap my head around a little bit more. And hopefully that plays to the audience here if anyone else feels the same way. Now, when I watched that episode, though, I thought of Tucker as someone up there like that. I thought Charlie Kirk just completely, like I said, ran circles around him. I thought Tucker was trying to laugh off some things, make like some little, wise ass comments, and Charlie just like slapped it away and stayed on point of what he wanted to talk about. And I thought Charlie just was great on that episode, but he kind of exposed Tucker to me a little bit as someone who I don't know, does he really know as much as I think he knows? Is he as smart as I think he is? And he's I don't know. That's how I felt from that episode, and it knocked him down a peg in my mind. I didn't think he was able to stand toe to toe with Charlie, even though it wasn't.
Conversation. But isn't that okay? That is okay. Like if you're outwitted, and that's fine. But I watched a lot of the clips through, in preparing for this from that Shapiro episode, 40-minute episode about that. So like of like him with the Fuentes interview, and yeah, I don't. Yep. Agree with that. There were many a time like shouldn't even have him on, sure. But Tucker has built up a lot of goodwill with me when there weren't, say in the Fox days when it was even COVID or this stuff, like willing to say stuff on, not just TCN, but like a major cable news, like calling out shit that needed to be called out where others weren't doing that. And I'm not ready to just be like all that shit was for naught, or he's completely lost himself in one interview or a couple interviews. And he always has been edgy and want to get these crazy soundbite type stuff. That was who he was, willing to talk about conspiracies and stuff. Has this gone too far? Yeah. But I'm also not willing to throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Okay, absolutely. And I agree with you there. I think you used it the right way. Good job.
So I did I like that? No. Fuentes is what he says is abhorrent. And I don't agree with him. But I think maybe like let's have the jury still be out on it. Give them another chance, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's room for both Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson in the Republican Party, and they should be. Like you're gonna need people like that.
Yeah. My short answer to those. I'm not for that, but I am still for seeing where Tucker takes things.
Of course. Now, what do you think about the cancel culture part of it? Like is that cancel culture to say like,
no,
you should be inviting Nick Fuentes onto your show.
That's free speech in both ways. Either we can promote this person or push them or say speak against them, speak for them and bring them on, or you're like, hey, this isn't something that I agree with, so I don't want to bring it on. But when you try to deplatform and say they don't have a voice anywhere, like you don't have to be the network to provide that voice or that outlet for them. That's not canceling somebody. And honestly, like I disagree with Shapiro on some things, not so much our country, but maybe our savior and stuff like that. But in regards to like also I think he called for like him being reinstated on platforms.
He has.
So like that isn't cancel. Like if that's
no, not at all.
That's the opposite of canceling, right? Not agreeing with somebody's views at all. And Nick has views that are very contrary to Shapiro's, like,
Yep.
faith, livelihood, like well-being, right?
Yep.
Calling for the death of Jews.
Yeah.
So, like,
yeah.
for him to say this person has a right to say it, then I don't think that's cancel culture.
No, absolutely, absolutely, and that's what I like. So it that's the part that like frustrated me with this whole thing. And who am I? Ben Shapiro doesn't need me to sit here and do a snippet defending him. Guy can do it fine, just on his own. But it was aggravating to see a lot of people like trying to call him out about this, and I feel like that guy Fuentes, like people like me and you, and the people that do watch our show should probably be able to understand this, because it hit me when watching all of his clips there and watching that Shapiro episode. This guy's nothing more than a bad guy wrestler. He's a heel wrestler, dude. He's Sergeant Slaughter coming out waving the Iraq flag, during Desert Storm. He's the Iron Sheik coming out. He's Mr. Fuji. He's
He may actually
$1 million
believe
man,
these
Ted
things.
DiBiase.
He may actually believe these things, but at the same time, nobody takes, the few people that do take, you know what I mean? I don't think
Yeah.
he's starting this movement, like,
Yeah.
so even if he does believe
See-
these things where, the Iron Sheik wasn't or what have you,
Yep.
you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he
Yeah.
is that
No.
person.
I do. And
but
I
with
don't want
even
to let
less
him off the hook.
power.
Yeah. I don't even want to let him off the hook to try to
Yeah.
be like, oh, he doesn't even believe the stuff he says. I'm sure he does believe the stuff he says, but the way at which he presents it and the way he does it and the way he talks about it, he's doing it to be provocative. He knows how to get himself clicks. He knows how to get himself talked about. He knows how to get himself notoriety, obviously. So I think that's the part of it. That's like the bad guy wrestler part of it. He's in the more you give him, again, here, we're giving him a whole segment on the show. Like, again, sorry, who are we? But it's
a whole segment of our show.
Yeah, he's gonna get a lot of clicks, a lot of views because of us. But that's just feeding the monster. It's like it's Pennywise, right? Like in it, they say like, oh, if you're not afraid of him, it's not gonna work, right? Like he feeds off the fear of the children and stuff like that and makes them stronger. And that's the same thing this guy is. He's feeding off of the no press is bad press for him. No that you'd say anything you want about him. The worst things you say about him, that's better. This guy's got the best of both of all worlds right now, because the right's talking about him left and right. Bad way to use that term. The right,
the right's talking about him right and left, and the left's talking about him left and right.
Exactly. So the left hates him because he fits into every stereotype they have about us. They think we're the same as Nick Fuentes Juice because we support Donald Trump. They think we're white Christian nationalists who want to, burn books and hate every other race other than our own, hate women. That's what they think of us. And this guy's happy to play the character.
To get back to the cancel culture aspect of it, saying he shouldn't be able to speak on any such platform, like saying StreamYard says they can't do it, this one says you can't, like, that's cancel culture, right? But
yeah,
Tucker doesn't need to have him on. That's not like him saying I refuse to have.
Yeah, you just don't. You don't have to give him an opportunity on your show.
Yeah, that's not canceling people.
But when it's saying to have on whoever he wants.
Yeah, when it's saying you can't speak anywhere, that's canceling.
Yeah,
right.
But it's like if Tucker wants to choose to have someone like that on his show, then he can deal with the consequences of the blowback for having someone like that on his show too. Like, you can't have it both ways. Like, right? Not saying, I'm saying the collective you, not you specifically, Juice.
Yeah, he can either choose to have him on, and I'm sure he got clicks that he might not have because of the craziness of having a person like that on. But also, like, it's not to not have somebody on a show isn't canceling.
Exactly.
But canceling is to not give them any outlet at all.
Yeah. And to say that they don't he can say whatever he wants. He should be able to scream into a microphone into the abyss if he wants. And it should be allowed to be up on YouTube. It should be like, if you're going to have, that's the public square should be open to the public. But yeah, That's that. Juice, you got anything else to add to this stuff?
Nope.
All right, perfect. So that was a little bit of right on right drama going on right now. For those of you who probably don't follow all that type of stuff, who knows? Maybe that's interesting to you. Maybe it's not. Obviously, I'm a little bit tapped into that world. I like to listen to that stuff. I consume that content. So it really stood out to me. And I wanted to talk about it with you guys. So without further ado, please give us a like, give us a subscribe on our YouTube page. We're on Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. I'm the host of the show, Brian Ruka. This is the Right and Wrong Podcast. That is my man and yours, the Truth Box, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time.